All right, college football week 9 in the books. Time to recap it. Douglas, again with the betting.
Hey, bud.
It was a rough week for me too. I had a very small card. Two of the big games, Georgia and Ohio State, were both just tormenting me the entire game that they didn't cover. But we'll get into that. Douglas, 8-13 on the weekend. Your FCS plays actually, they might have saved you, because if you didn't play, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4 of them. You went 4-1 in FCS. If you didn't play those 4 games, your record would have been
Catastrophic.
7-13 or 7-12, which is really bad. I think.
No, 4 and 12.
Sorry. Terrible math. Terrible.
Yeah, 4 and 12.
Never been good at math.
I was gonna say that sounds a little better, I think.
Yeah. So that would have been disastrous. So good on you for that. But I think both these big games killed us. So I went 7-6, bringing my season record to 54-90, 153, 94-1. Your season total still below 500. I believe in you that you can get over there. If you keep finding these FCS lines.
Trying, dude. They don't come out until
I understand they don't come out until whenever.
I know, man.
Give some
Such
leans.
a pain.
Give some leans on the show. Tell some people, hey, I like this matchup. I don't know what the spread's going to be yet, but I like it up to this.
Okay.
So that'll help you out. Betting record, you're 70, 84-1. I still believe you can get over 500.
I think I'll get there. I hope.
I still believe in you that there's enough season left where you can get over that. You get you just got to have, I think there's 4 weeks left.
Yeah.
There's 14 games make up. You just got to go over what's that? 4 games over 500 the rest of the way. Every week, 4 games over 500.
I just need one big week to blow the doors off one big week.
Or just have go 16-2.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, and you'll be fine. All right. Let's get into some shout outs for college football. Douglas, what's your first shout out?
I'm giving one shout out. One. Okay. That's it. One. I'm shouting out Tennessee. It is national championship time for these guys. I truly believe it. I think they're going to go to the Natty.
That's interesting, because we'll get into that, because I have some questions about that game coming up this weekend against Georgia.
I texted you before the game started. I said, I'm flipping to Kentucky. And then I texted you again really quick and said, oh, to hell with it. I'm going back to Tennessee. And you said, oh, geez, what is going on?
Yeah, I just thought idea. I thought some information leak that Hooker wasn't going to play or something. And you found that out. And
dude, it was one of them. I second guess a lot of stuff as you're coming to realize.
Yeah, I get a lot of messages on Saturday about flipping and not flipping. And
yeah, this Tennessee team, though, the way they just destroyed Will Levis defensively was the most impressive thing to me. I know their offense, they'll score. I'm not worried about the offense. It's the defense that always is the question mark for me. And if they play like that, there's no doubt in my mind they're winning the national championship.
My first shout out is going to be Illinois. This defense is so legit. So legit. This is the type of defense, and they're very rare in college football. You put them out there, and you feel good that they're not going to give up more than 21, 25 points in a game. They're 24 might be the most they give up all year. They might lose to Ohio State 24-0 in the Big Ten championship game. They might lose the 20. They might get shut out, but they will.
But they can run the ball really well. Chase Brown. He's good.
He's leading the country in rushing right now. It's the only team in the country to not allow over 1,800 yards total for the season. They've played 8 games.
Oh my God.
They allow less than 230 yards per game on defense. That's incredible. In college.
Yeah.
And I have one more shout out: TCU, West Virginia, with the miracle over. The miracle cover. Either way you were on it, it was either a terrible beat, one of the worst beats probably, or a great win. I had the over 68.5, 4th and 1 on the West Virginia 30, and they get West Virginia to jump. Max Duggan just throws up a prayer. Don't even know who the receiver was. It wasn't Quentin Johnson, but he just threw it up to him. Dude went up, made a play. If he drops it, over's dead. All he had to do was take a knee. He had to make that catch for the over. He did. It was awesome. Let's move on to the airing of grievances.
The tradition of Festivus begins with the airing of grievances. I got a lot of problems with you people. Now, you're going to hear about it.
Douglas, you're first.
Yeah, so Wake Forest is going to be my first.
They're going to be. I'm going to talk about them a little later, but please go in.
Look, this is a team I've been riding with a lot this year. I've been kind of high on them, and they've done pretty well for me up until this point.
Yeah,
I'm fine if you lose a close one. I know you're not at home. You're in Louisville. They're coming off a nice win against Pitt. I get it. They got destroyed.
Yeah.
I mean,
it was
48-21.
Yeah.
48-21. What are we? And I believe Wake Forest had the number 12 scoring offense in college up to that point.
They were up. They were inside the top 20 in scoring offense, and they were 10th. I think they were ranked 10th. They dropped all the way to 20th, and
I mean,
which they should have probably just been taken out.
Is Louisville's defense that good? That's a question I don't know. I really don't. I don't have that answer. I'm going to say no, but what are we doing?
Yeah, that's bad. I'm going to get into that. They're my fraud of the week. Little spoiler for earlier. I have some stats on that game where it was just not good. But my first area of agreement is Ohio State. No, unequivocally, Ohio State. I have a question for you, Douglas, about your Buckeyes.
Yes.
Because one of two things happen.
Yes.
Either they have no pride.
Okay.
Or Ryan Day bet on Penn State. Which happened? You got to tell me which one happened.
I would probably lean towards the second one a little bit.
Okay. I think Ryan Day probably bet on it because the defense in the last 2 minutes was nothing. They did not care that they were there. They were giving up yards, chunks, doesn't matter. Sean Clifford looked like it was like you ever see Balls of Fury?
Yes.
When the dad is betting on the son playing that, and he looked like he was playing that hard, like his family's lives were on the line if he didn't cover the spread against Ohio State. That's how he was playing in the final. He played hard in the final 2 minutes than he did in the entire first half. It was ridiculous. My second one, Oklahoma State's offense. I had the over 56.5. That was my only bet on the Kansas State Oklahoma State game. Kansas goes ahead and scores 48 points. 48.
Yeah.
If I told you the over was 56.5 in a Big 12 game and one team scored 48 points, what percent chance do you think that over hits? In a Big 12 game. We're not talking about Big 10 where it's Ohio State against
90% chance. 95%.
That's what I mean. 0 points by Oklahoma State. One of the worst defeats of all time for Mike Gundy and his staff. Embarrassing.
A team that thrives as an underdog too. He's 15-2 as a dog.
Killed. My question, Douglas. I think TCU already beat Kansas State, but Kansas State is the front runner. I mean, I'm pretty sure Kansas State will have to play Texas. That might be this week. They play soon. If Kansas State beats Texas, they're pretty much a lock for the Big 12 championship game.
I would say so.
What percentage chance do you give Kansas State to beat TCU?
Less than 50. I think TCU's real.
Well, I mean, they're favorite. I just want to
know. If I had to put an exact number on it, I'd 25%, 30%, somewhere in there. I think TCU is real.
Moving on to On Me. Or did you have any more agreements that you wanted to get out?
I did have one more. Pitt. I mean, anytime I take these guys, I can never get on the right side. You know, I listened to a bunch of gambling podcasts, and I heard a guy call in and say that his buddy was throwing a massive bet in on Pitt plus 3.5. Massive. He said that he doesn't bet really at all, but when he does, it's like twice a year he hits them. He called in and said, I love Pitt plus 3.5.
Yikes.
He said he was throwing a 5-figure bet on it. Well, that guy lost. And guess what? I didn't lose that much, but I lost too. Drake May.
He's real.
Unbelievable.
For a true freshman to play this well in a Power 5 conference.
He'll be playing on Sundays, no questions asked. No questions
asked.
388 yards and 5 touchdowns. Perfect QBR rating for Drake May. I mean,
when was the last time Pitt gave up a perfect QBR?
Oh, it's probably been a very long time.
I mean, I know their secondary isn't always great, but they usually are able to get to the quarterback and cause some fumbles or
Yeah.
Hit interceptions or something or whatnot. But hold on. I hate when ESPN does that. They try to sneak videos in when you're looking at something. 21-0 in the fourth quarter was the difference. 21. Pitt was up 24-21 going into the fourth, and they gave 21 unanswered in the fourth quarter.
Drake May said, "I got that thing in me, and let me throw the backpack on and get it done," and he absolutely did. This isn't even me really like crapping on Pitt, like it is. It's just more of me praising Drake May. Like he's unreal for a true freshman.
Do you think Pitt could do like Ed Ogeron with Narduzzi and be like, you had one great year, you had a great quarterback, but like not this year. I'd say next year if they're floating around 500 again or even below.
I would hope. I'd hope
like,
so, but like
time to move on.
Didn't they just sign him to like
practically
like a lifetime deal?
They did. It's weird because Pitt. I mean, you think about it. The Pitt's basketball program's dead.
Yeah.
Let's just be honest. It's dead. It's non-existent. So, and really, like, other sports obviously matter to some extent, but those are really the two that matter.
Yeah.
Basketball and football are the two sports where you're going to get national attention, and they already suck in one. Mm-hmm. They need to be putting all their chips into football right now. And if Narduzzi's not getting it done, I don't see why you're just waiting around giving him year after year. That doesn't make any sense to me why they would do that. You see teams, Auburn, the second they hired an athletic director, they fired Harsin.
Yeah.
That's what the teams that know that football is their number one sport, they're always going to do that. And Pitt's failing in that right now because Narduzzi is not the guy. Kentucky is my on me this week. Oh boy. I will defend to my death picking this spot against Tennessee. It was a bad spot. They're going to the number one team in the country. None of my pick was saying Tennessee is bad. If you go back and watch me picking that game, I did not discredit Tennessee by saying they were overrated or anything. I just said it was a bad spot for them to cover. I still believe it. I'd still go back and take the same pick. If they replayed the game 10 times, I'd still take the same pick.
Yep.
But my more important take out of this game, Will Levis completely tanked his draft stock. Now, listen, there's a lot of time between now and April for him to make up with, the combine, pro day, different things he can do showing NFL team. But as of right now, he is not a first round pick in my mind.
Oh,
anymore. He is not a first, like in college football, like those games, that's every week in the NFL.
Yeah.
That's the pressure he felt in that game is the pressure you're going to face every week in the NFL. And he absolutely crumbled. 6 for 27, which isn't terrible, but 98 yards. He threw 98 yards. He had a 3.6 yards per completion, 0 touchdowns, 3 interceptions, 16.4 QBR.
Did you say 6 for 27?
16 for 27.
16. Okay.
Yeah.
I thought I misheard you. Sorry.
This is not against Alabama. This is not against Georgia. This isn't against Illinois. This is against a team who's allowing 330 pass yards per game before this game. Will Levis, I mean, that was shockingly bad by him. If you would have told me, okay, what did it was 42 points by Tennessee? 40?
I think 40.
Yeah, if you told me Tennessee scored 40, I'd think, okay, Kentucky probably scored anywhere from 24 to 27 or somewhere in that range. The fact that they couldn't score, they scored one touchdown or six, I know they had 6 points, but I don't remember how they scored.
I don't know how they got the 6. At one point, it was 27-6. I saw. So
the fact that they couldn't even score twice is pathetic.
Yep.
And he will. This will be a game when we're looking in, when we're in March, when we're breaking down draft prospects. This is the game that's going to be brought up and say, can he get it done in big time situations? And a shocking example of a big no for me.
Oh, wow, that is very bold.
I mean, again, I said it before. There's gonna be a lot of time for him to make up that ground, but it's not looking good right now. I wouldn't touch him with a 10-foot pole in the draft.
Yeah. So my on me this week is going to be Ohio State. I picked with my heart and did not use my head. And you cannot do that when betting. I've said it on here before. Everyone knows that rule.
But they should have no. But they should have.
I know they should have, but I knew they weren't going to. I knew they weren't going to. Even when they went up, I knew when it was 42-22 or whatever it was.
With 2 minutes left,
I knew.
You knew that Ryan Day bet on the game.
Game was over. The game was over because they didn't care. They won the game. They knew.
But I knew. That's not having pride then.
I understand. I knew though. I wanted to take Penn State so bad, and I couldn't do it.
You should have live bet on that.
I could not. No, I will never live bet that ever. No,
what?
Ever.
You
I don't bet usually on the Ohio State games at all. Usually,
no. But why didn't you live bet Penn State if you knew that Ohio State wasn't?
Because I'm not betting on them either.
Well, it was free money.
To hell with them.
It's free money in your mind.
To hell with them. I'd rather just make nothing.
All right.
I had a feeling. I messaged you, I remember, and I said I'm very close to flipping to Penn State.
Yeah.
And I didn't do it. And I knew all along that it was going to happen. I just didn't know that fashion that it would happen. But I'll be honest, there was a point in time where I was sitting there thinking, Ohio State may lose this game. It wasn't meant to be. That pick's on me because if I really were picking it, I would have picked Penn State if I weren't picking with my heart.
Yeah. I think the sad thing about it is if both teams play to the full out the entire game, Ohio State wins that game by 30 points.
Yeah.
There were just moments of that game where Ohio's when they got up, they were up 14-0 or at the moment 10. They kind of let off the gas just a little bit.
Yep.
When they had to pick 6 at the end of the game, they let off the gas. So that was the two little stretches that led to them being not covering. And yeah, it's a scumbag university. That'll never leave. Urban Meyer's stink on that program will never leave.
Fair.
Let's get into frauds.
That's amazing. You are so talented.
Huh?
Wait a second. Something's not right here. You were just making it look like you were playing. You're a phony. Hey, this guy's a great big phony. That's right.
I already gave this one out, so I'll go first. Wake Forest, 8 turnovers. 8 turnovers and 8 sacks allowed. 2 of the turnovers were pick sixes by Sam Hartman. Sam Hartman's another guy who I thought was like a dark horse, maybe like a Sam Howell type coming out this year where, it could be a sneaky good pick for a team, maybe in the 4th or 5th round. Another one who he did a lot better than Will Levis did, but the 2 pick sixes and the 3 interceptions, I believe he fumbled once as well in the pocket. Not good. I know Louisville kind of has a sneaky good pass rush, but just as a team for Wake Forest, Louisville had a cornerback, Douglas. He had 2 interceptions. He had 101 return yards and interceptions. That's more than the top 2 rushers for Wake had.
That's nice.
He had more interception return yards than the top 2 rushers for Wake. It was unbelievable. Wake Forest, a team that I said before the year, this would have been their year to sort of do something, and they just haven't done what I thought they could have done. And Hartman, his draft stock, he might be a UDFA for a team. But I like some of his traits coming out, but he's going to have to prove something here because they still have to play NC State, North Carolina, and Syracuse down the stretch. So he'll have room to make up for it, but that was a bad loss for them.
Yeah. So my fraud of the week, and I'm going to allude to them more when we hit our who's like our dead, team.
Yeah.
I'm going to allude to them more. I'm doubling up here. Oklahoma State.
Ooh.
Oh man.
Yeah.
Not only did Adrian Martinez not play, he didn't play.
Yeah.
So you let Will Howard come in here. But he ain't bad. Not bad.
No, he's not bad at all.
Not a bad player. He's not the starter for a reason, though. He comes in and throws for 296 and 4 touchdowns. Sanders played so bad. His QPR was 39. He threw a pick. They set him late in the game when it's already just the doors blown off. They put Gundy in. Gundy is sitting there going to take the snap out of shotgun. His hands are shaking.
Yeah, I bet.
He was literally shaking. He was scared to take the snap. He was so scared. Deuce Vaughn is a problem.
Yeah.
That's 158 yards and a touchdown on the ground on 22 carries. Unreal. Shout out Kansas State. They played great. Oklahoma State is dead, though. They're done. They are done. That's a team I like this year. I took them to beat TCU when TCU lost. I took them to cover this game. Line was 1.5. They lost 48-0. Not 48-40. Not 48-20.
No, trust me. I know the score.
I mean,
that was the most heartbreaking. That was probably.
When do you think the last time Oklahoma State put up a goose egg was?
Oh, do you have that? You should look that up right now.
Okay. Yeah, that loss is the first time they've been shut out since 2009 against Oklahoma. The worst lost period since 2000, which was a 58-0 loss against Texas Tech. That is the worst loss in the Mike Gundy era.
Yeah.
And a top 10 team had not been shut out by 40 points or more since 1968.
Oh, my goodness. Yeah.
And that was when Cal beat Syracuse 43-0. So this defeat is worse.
I'm more impressed Cal was playing Syracuse in the 60s. That's a long trip.
That is a long trip.
So,
I mean, dude, we're talking a catastrophic loss here.
Yeah, it was shocking.
Oh, I would have never guessed that in my life.
It was one of the I didn't it was one of the games where I was watching it full, but ESPN, like right before they come back from every commercial break, they'll give you like 2 games. Hey, here's an update on this game. Here's an update on this game. It was 14-0, 21-0.
Yeah,
28-0.
It just kept going.
35-0 at the half, and you're like, what is going on?
I came home.
Kansas?
I came home. I was out and I walk in my dad's room and he's sitting there watching the game. I'm like, oh, I thought this was going to be a good game. I liked Oklahoma State, and the score wasn't up.
Yeah,
it wasn't like on the screen. And he was like, well, I'm glad you didn't bet it. I said, why is that? He said, Kansas State's beating the brakes off of them. I said, no. He said, oh, yeah. Score popped up. It was 35-0. I said, oh, my God.
Yeah, it's bad.
What happened? So I started looking into it more, and oh, my gosh. Like, that's a historic loss for that program.
Yeah. Well, I honestly, I didn't really click on Saturday, but afterwards, I'm like, did Spencer Sanders like get hurt in the first drive of the game?
Nope.
No.
No.
It was just bad. It was just a bad game all around.
Kansas State must have been very upset about that TCU loss.
Yeah.
Or something. I don't know.
All right. You ready to get into takeaways?
Yeah.
All right. We'll do takeaway, and then we'll do our dead team of the week. Douglas, I've been waiting to talk about this for a while.
Okay.
Brian Harsin, we'll see you. See you. Get out of town. And listen, I want to thank Brian Harsin for what he did. I think he did some good things for the culture of like the players that were there, at least at the time. There was a ton of things surrounding the program. I think he did a good job while he was there, at least inside the locker room and, with morale and different things that he implemented amongst the players. But on the field, results just weren't there. So I'm 99% happy he's gone. I'm not trying to saying I hope he stayed, but this is a reset button for the Auburn Tigers. This was my instant takeaway. I didn't want him fired because I didn't think he was a good coach. I just think the whole program needs a restart button. It was every week it was going further and further downhill with Harsin. So, and let me just get into anyone that doesn't know about Auburn football. The main problem with Auburn football is that the people that surround Auburn football, boosters, higher ups at the university, they think Auburn should be where George is at right now. They think Auburn perennially needs to be a top 5 team in the country. And if it's not happening, they will spend outrageous amounts of money to make it happen. They don't care. And with that comes firing Gus Malzahn after a 9-3 season, but he couldn't win the SEC championship. With that comes trying to fire Harsin after 1 year, even though he's taken over a team where most of the people transferred out with Gus Malzahn.
Mm-hmm.
It's just it's a messy situation there. But I will say this: the new guy that they brought in, they're paying him $1.5 million. That's more than twice they paid their old AD.
Mm-hmm.
The only thing I can think about when they're bringing this guy, John Cohen, he's from Mississippi State. The only thing I can hope is how fast he came in. He was hired, and they fired Harsin about an hour later.
Mm-hmm.
It was that fast. The only thing I can think about is that this Cohen guy told whoever at Auburn that I have a coach. I have a guy who said he would come to Auburn with me. Or I've already talked to Dion. I don't know who it is, but let's just say Dion, Lane Kiffin, Mike Leach. I don't want it to be Hugh Freeze, but Hugh Freeze at Liberty. He's talked to somebody, and they are willing to come. And Auburn's like, yes, I like that guy. And so I'm hopeful that that's the plan. That he already has a coach that is willing to come to Auburn with him. But I just couldn't be more happy. Because it was just it was a bad marriage. It's just one of those marriages where you're like these two people fight all the time. It was just going nowhere, and even though it's sad it ends, it had to end for the program to do good. So they need to hit the restart button. Boy, do I want Deion Sanders or Lane Kiffin. I don't blame you. If it's not one of them, I'm going to be a little disappointed because there was like a list of like 13 different people I saw that had interest or were possible replacements, and those were the only two on the list that I wanted. So Auburn hits the reset button. Finally, they hit the reset button. I've been waiting for it forever, and we're not going to take up too much more time with that. But I'm just I was running up and down the house the other day, and that tweet came out that he was fired. I'll put it that way. But go ahead.
Yeah. So my one takeaway here is Tennessee's going to win the national championship. I'm just going to come out and say it. Don't care who they play. If they get past Georgia this week, there's no stopping them. This is their biggest test. This is the national championship right here.
You think
this week at 3:30?
So you don't think Ohio State's on the same plane as these two teams?
No, I think they could beat Georgia more than they could beat Tennessee.
Okay.
I don't think they could go shot for shot with Tennessee.
I would love to take the over in that game.
I'm sure it would be very smart of you to do that. I don't see Ohio State being able to keep up with Tennessee. I'll never essentially count out Alabama just because of who they are and what they've done over the years. If they beat Georgia this week, I think they win the national championship. I think it's that simple.
Wow. Well, yeah. I mean, if they win, the winner this week is going to be in the SEC championship.
Correct.
Game. Because I know one of the games Tennessee has left is Vanderbilt, which they could probably win with their backups.
Yep.
I mean, yeah. I mean, if Tennessee wins this week, Missouri, South Carolina, Vanderbilt.
Yeah, Georgia's schedule, they got Mississippi State and Kentucky still. Not that they're going to lose, but
they probably have two. Yeah, I knew that they were going to have Kentucky and probably at least one other team.
Yeah.
So if Tennessee wins, it'll be an easy path to the SEC championship, which gives me all the more reason to like Georgia. I think Georgia knows this is their season.
Yeah.
They have no chance to make the college. Like, if a team doesn't make a conference championship game in the SEC, you're not making the college football playoff. I don't care how good you are. I don't care what you're ranked right now. I don't care if they beat every team to this point by 70 points. If you don't make your championship game, you don't deserve to be in the damn dance. So
I agree. 1,000%. I agree. I just think that Tennessee is going to go into Georgia Saturday, 3:30 on CBS. And I think that they are going to beat the Bulldogs.
All right, let's get into our dead team of the week. This is a team that Douglas and I believe, or Douglas believes his and I believe mine, have no chance of winning the college football playoff at this point. Obviously, we're not going to take a team like Akron. Got to take a real contender. Douglas, this is I don't personally believe this, but I'm just going off the stats. I'm looking at a post right now from ESPN's college football page. Chances to make the college football playoff. What would you give TCU right now?
Oh, low.
Really?
Yeah, I'd probably go low.
But this is what I mean. Okay, they're giving TCU an 11% chance.
I probably would have guessed like 15.
Ohio State 86.
Yep.
Georgia 70.
Yep.
Tennessee 61. One of those teams is not making it. One of those teams is not making the college football playoff. So both though their odds need to be lower.
You don't know. Hold on.
There's no chance. There's no chance.
But okay, so hypothetically, let's say Georgia beats Tennessee, they go to the SEC championship and play Alabama, and they beat Bama.
Yeah.
Bama's out. Tennessee would just slip right back into 4.
But so you're putting in a one-loss Georgia team over an undefeated TCU?
I'm not saying I personally would.
That's
but
the
committees.
point I'm making.
But you know what the committee does.
I'm sure.
We've seen it for years.
I'm sure, but that'll be unprecedented.
Oh, dude, I get it.
They've done it to power or group of 5 teams.
They did it to UCF. I remember.
They've done it to those teams, but they've never done it to power 5 teams.
It would be very interesting to see.
They're given Alabama, Tennessee, and Georgia all above 50%. I think only 2 of them make it max.
I agree with that.
So
I could see Ohio State and Michigan both making it.
So it's going to come down to Clemson or TCU.
I think TCU is more deserving than Clemson, personally.
What I mean. So
strength of schedule has to matter.
My
at a
dead
certain
team,
point.
based off of this, is going to be TCU. Even though I want to see them make it in if they go undefeated, 11% tells me if that the people at ESPN think even if they go undefeated, they're putting in a one-loss SEC team over TCU.
Yeah,
so they're going to be my dead team.
My dead team's going to be Alabama. I don't think that they're going to win the SEC championship.
I think it will. You like Tennessee to win this week, right?
Yep.
So you don't think at a neutral site they could beat Tennessee?
No. Yeah, I think, dude, Tennessee had a lot of things go wrong in that game, and they still won. I get they were at home, which is huge in college.
I think they still gave up 48 49 points.
Yeah, 49.
So
I think they had a lot of things go wrong. Don't get it twisted. I wouldn't be shocked if Bama makes it, but that's the team I'm going to write off. I see 2 SEC teams getting in. I think it's going to be Georgia and Tennessee.
Dude, oh my God, Dallas just traded for Aaron Donald.
Yeah, okay.
Okay, I want to see if I can get you with that. All right, that was the college football recap episode. We will be back later this week. We'll have our NFL recap, and then we will have our 2 episodes as normal. Douglas, anything for the people?
Thank you guys for watching. Please like, share, and subscribe, and follow our social media at Pack Boys Podcast. Thank you guys.
Awesome.